Ice Spice is about to ruin her career. Despite having the love of the people for the past 2 years and working with people like Pink Panthers, Nicki Minaj, and even Taylor Swift, it seems as though the tides are turning on Ice Spice and her downfall might be here sooner rather than later. And with her debut studio album just around the corner, it's safe to say that Ice Spice's career is about to hit a make or break point. But to truly understand what I mean, let's just talk about it. People have been preying on Ice Spice's downfall since she burst into the scene with the release of Munch. Though many dismissed her as a one-hit wonder that would quickly disappear, Ice Spice has proven to be more resilient than people gave her credit for. Ice Spice went from being a one-hit wonder to a two-hit wonder to eventually solidifying herself as a name in music. However, that just created even more allegations for her to fight. Not necessarily criminal level allegations, but a lot of people claim that Ice Spice was nothing more than an industry plant, which in the decade that we live in is probably the worst thing you can be called as an artist. Being an industry plant is another way of saying an artist doesn't deserve to be where they are. And the narrative around Ice Spice was always that. With a repetitive flow and simple lyric, the overnight success of Ice Spice just seemed fishy to some people. And though it's hard to prove that you're not an industry plant, all you really do to shake off those allegations and dismiss the label is to prove people wrong, which is exactly what Ice Spice set out to do. And as 2022 became 2023, Ice Spice had some tricks up her sleeve. Working alongside Pink Panthers, Ice Spice would be included on the remix to Boy's a Liar, and let's just say that the song did great. Peaking inside the top 3 of the Billboard Hot 100, not only was Pink Panther's biggest hit, it was also the biggest hit for Ice Spice, who is now becoming a mainstream name. And not just that, Ice Spice would also find herself working alongside Taylor Swift, which in 2024 is a pretty big fucking deal, man. You know how big you gotta be for Drake to use you as a weapon for how big you are with streaming numbers? My point is that you could be a big star and having a song with Taylor Swift will still be a pretty big deal. But then again, Ice Spice wasn't that. She was established in a way, but even that was shaky. Basically, all I'm really saying is God himself was blessing Ice Spice at this point, and her name only grew from that moment. When Barbie was set to release, which was, by the way, one of the biggest movies of 2023, and I'd reckon to say the biggest event of 2023. It was Ice Spice who found herself in the center of attention alongside with Nicki Minaj with the release of Barbie World. The song skyrocketed to the top 10 of Billboard's Hot 100, becoming Ice Spice's 4th song to do so. But more notably, it was also the 2nd one with Nicki Minaj on board. By the way, I'm also very close to getting to 45,000 subs, and I would just very appreciate it if at least one of you guys could subscribe. Y'all don't have to, but every sub count, and I appreciate it, you know? Anyways, I think we all know how crazy the bars can get when you are against them, but it goes both ways at the same time. When it comes to being ride or die, they really are ride or die. And I'm not saying that being alongside Nicki Minaj is gonna make you automatically successful, but it goes a long way, doesn't it? And in case you need any more proof, by the end of 2023, Ice Spice was everywhere. Her songs continued to rack up streams on Spotify and go viral on TikTok, and outside of the music, she was finding herself in commercials for Dunkin' Donuts and Starry. The reality is that you can no longer dismiss Ice Spice as just a one-hit wonder. Not only was she established in hip-hop, she was established in pop, and hell, I would even say she was established outside of music as a whole. And if everything went right, Ice Spice could build an empire, a nice 5-year run at the top of the game. But that's not exactly what happened. And I think the turning point here was when she released Think You the Shit, in parentheses, fart.
Think you the shit, bitch? You're not even the fuck.
Here's the thing. There are artists where if their music is exceptional enough, it transcends how bad of a person they are. And then there are artists where their music might be trash, but they're just that much of a cult of personality. And I don't think Ice Spice is either of those, to be honest with you. And I think this song was what marked the beginning of the end. Or at least the beginning of a bumpy road. Because though funny, think you the shit, bitch, you not even a fart, is a line so bad that it can ruin your career. And I know she's not the only one to do this, and rappers do poop bars and shit bars and fart bars. But if there's one rule that I will always insist on, at least when it comes to hip hop and life in general, is that you can make a poop bar or a fart bar but at the end of the day, it will always be shitty, especially as a single, because yeah, most rappers do have poop bars, but they get away with it because it's like the 10th track on a 15-track album. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like someone at management should have caught this. But while we're at it, the reason why I think this song is the turning point that it is because this song is also a diss track.
Thing is, for me, why am I seeing that I'm in the back of your weak ass snippet? Like, that's why I was
Right.
confused.
Oh,
Literally, like,
So
hello.
I was like, wait a second, that's me? So I'm like, okay, since we're talking about me, let's talk about me. And I dropped that.
I haven't cared much for the Lotto beef, if I'm being honest, but it's safe to say that the two have been beefing for a while. And though Ice Spice had ignored it, this was the song with which she decided to finally respond. And honestly, as a diss track, this works even worse. And it's not just me thinking it, it's the general audience. Because not only does this mark the beginning of, hey, you know, Ice Spice's music isn't that good, it also marked the beginning of, you know what? Ice Spice's personality is not all that. We don't need to grant her loyalty. And this isn't me hating on Ice Spice, or at least I'm not trying to. But in comparison to other artists, when the general audience finally turn on them and their fans stick through and stay loyal, they've at least been on top of the game for like 5 years or more. Like, Drake might be able to survive the Kendrick Lamar avalanche, but that's because he's been on top of the game for a decade and a half. Nicki Minaj might survive everybody hating on her, but that's because she's been on top of the game for a decade and a half. Taylor Swift managed to survive people calling her a snake, but that was because she was on top of her game for a decade. But there's a reason why Chance the Rapper didn't survive the horrible crime of putting out a bad album. Or in other words, Ice Spice could be the next Chance the Rapper. Ice Spice has only been around for 2 years, which isn't enough to gather that much love from the public. Which is why Y2K is a make or break album for Ice Spice. Because in the last few months, Ice Spice has become a polarizing figure in the eyes of the public. Not only was she caught talking about Nicki Minaj behind her back, but she also finds herself in the middle of drama with Central C and his ex-girlfriend and her potentially being a homewrecker. Honestly, it's the type of thing I don't pay that much attention to, but her fans do, and well, at the end of the day, as an artist, that's all you have. And because Ice Spice is relatively new, if she fails with Y2K, I would have to doubt that she will ever be as big as she was for the last year. But if she succeeds, which is definitely possible, there's no telling who can stop Ice Spice. It would just be another reminder of why Ice Spice is just unstoppable. But if she were to fail, which is definitely a big possibility, if not a bigger possibility, then she would only have herself to blame and her lack of improvement. But will she fail? Will she succeed? Only time can tell. It can definitely go either way, but something inside of me is telling me that Ice Spice really is about to ruin her career. Well, I just finished reading a book, so I'm on to another book. It was this young adult novel though, so it doesn't really count like as a crazy book to read. But you know, after reading that Malcolm X autobiography, I just needed a little easy read to cool off. You know, shout out to Malcolm X, shout out to books, man. Go to a library. Shout out to me. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Jay Dilla, and last but not least, shout out to God.